All right, guys, here we're going to talk about the movie End of the Line. 2007's End of the Line, Lee. Had you seen it before?
Escuche, no, I had not.
This one has a bit of a fan following, so I thought there's a possibility you had heard about it or seen it because of that.
The like train movies that we always talk about.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all you love and know. It's Cannibal Video.
It's whatever. Do you like this movie?
I think this movie has some of the most effective jump scares in the cinema.
It does. I was going to wait until there at the table to talk about how I pissed my pants twice. But that was going to be the only upside to the entire. No, I think it's fine. It's nothing like special, but yeah.
There's a lot of things here that I do really like about this movie.
You like
and
this
like
movie,
on a
okay.
lower budget, like I think they did nail a lot of the things they were going for.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about all that in the
No.
spoiler
There's nothing.
section.
I'm not like, oh, it's the worst movie ever made. But you like it more than me, so
I would say.
we will be fighting about this.
Can't wait. All right, guys, if you've seen it or don't care, falls over to spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
All right, so here we are for the spoilers of End of the Line. Lee, let me hear them spoiler-filled thoughts.
It's your favorite movie. You love this movie. Tell me all about your favorite movie.
It's not my favorite movie by far, but I will say there's two things going for it here. Where like the jump scares don't feel like bullshit.
No,
like
it's
where
cool.
I'm like, oh, a cat jumped out at me. Like they're all like oh, and they can get you with like 3 in like a 6-minute span. Where you're like, damn, that was a good one. Oh fuck, that was a good one too.
No, I was gonna say, because like even sometimes the jump scare is a scary thing.
Yeah.
In other movies, and sometimes it's bullshit. And I think in this movie they're bullshit and they're real sometimes.
It's like a middle of the line thing.
But something about them, like the first jump scare there is, I think, is the one where she holds up the drawing of the train. That she's in, and then lowers it, and there's just a dude like right there all of a sudden. But like it worked, and like I think you can relate. Like that doesn't usually do anything. I'm usually like, this is where a jump scare should be. Yeah. And I might have been that way here, but I was like, oh geez.
Something about maybe the lack of score or whatever was happening there. It was really well done. And there's even like a simple one where a guy with like a vacuum just walks into a room. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That person's reaction is good. I like a lot of what's going on here.
It was like when you hear about other people talk about horror movies where they're like, where there's this thing, oh, they keep doing this thing to me and I'm worried they're going to do it to me again. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, I've never experienced that in like the last 100 movies. But like in other movies,
it's like, oh, there's a tension-filled moment. Oh, a violin strikes real quick and you're like, and I'm like, no, you're forcing the trip. Like this actually had the trip.
I would want to study it more to figure out exactly why it works.
So I thought you were going to like this more because of there's like an element here where like your bad guy might actually be a good guy.
I know.
Our main character might just be crazy. It's not 100%.
Oh, I never even thought that for a second.
Well, she's like paranoid, and there's moments where they don't actually show things, but I think it's the poppy seed or whatever the fuck the muffins people are eating. I think like add to the trip and make people crazier.
That's a whole element. I didn't engage with this super hard. Like, my take was like, ultimately it goes nowhere. I wish they'd done something with the whole like, oh, you don't know if they're just crazy religious people or if it's a real thing. That was my take. But yes, I didn't even pick up on this because usually I'm looking for that, and I'm like, oh, you cheated me out of some ambiguity by telling me something.
Well, the only like really ambiguous part is like you see it, which kind of cool, which is like everyone who died, the demons come out of their bodies. Like it is the sin or whatever that is in their body that's coming out. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And she's at the end of the movie being now advanced upon by all these things. And she closes her eyes and then opens them again, and like there looks to be a little bit of relief on her face, like they are not there anymore.
Well, I think it's meant to be ambiguous.
That's what I'm saying. That is the ambiguous part where you're like, wait a minute,
laughs.
did she get rid of that by closing her eyes?
Yeah.
Is she crazy? Is it a real thing? Because we know she's being attacked by these like extremist Mormons or whatever, but we don't know if the demons are actually real because we don't actually see other people interact with them. We see a tiny bit of interaction. Like we see a little boy look at what might be something behind him, or just evaluate the fact that his brother died upon this man's hands, that he runs away.
The bald dude, though, sees one of the monsters.
The bald dude.
The dude that they kick him out of the...
the rapist.
The station. What? Is he also a rapist?
Oh, no, that guy.
Yeah, they leave two guys behind.
I was thinking of a different guy.
Yeah. He looks down the way, and like that's... so like on the box, there are these glowing red eyes creatures, and you see them very, very fleetingly throughout the piece, throughout the movie. Right, so yes, at the end when you finally see them all, they oh shit, this whole thing or whatever. To me, that was almost like getting rid of the ambiguity, where I'm like, I don't know if the red-eyed monsters are real anymore.
I'm not sure.
Or whatever, yeah.
Because throughout the movie, we see this thing where it's people with their mouths like sewn shut and they're weird, like dead-looking things.
I love you, Sarah. We'll be together forever.
Which are not directly related to anything else.
Okay.
That's like in her head. She's crazy. She's like looking at pictures that were given to her by a woman who was literally crazy and killed herself after she got out of the mental institution. So like you're like, okay, what am I to believe here? You've set up a lot of things that we don't necessarily dive too deeply into, and I think for the best, because over-explaining these things would have really destroyed the movie.
Right. You obviously don't want to go into like a whole like thing. I don't know. I forget what I was going to say before, but it was something along those lines where I'm like, okay, yes, because she's like the thing that keeps jump scaring her is not the thing that we see all the way at the end and stuff. But this is like your point where you're like, oh, if someone's scared, they should see a totally unrelated thing. And it's like, well,
and they do. And that's what's kind of great.
Well, I'm saying, but now we have no idea if it has anything to do with anything.
Sure.
Because we don't know, because they're not showing us the same thing.
But like you understand my frustration always when someone has like,
I hear what you're saying.
I dreamed of somebody sexy, and it's the guy we see later in the movie. Am I a precog? No.
No, I just understand how movies work, so it doesn't bother me.
I liked it in this, and like this is I didn't look up what the budget was, but I know like this is a respected lower budget.
It's a smaller budget.
You can see that on its face.
And I'm down with this idea. I think there were some good performances, and it's like a good setup, and I like this idea. Like you're saying, you definitely don't know for a while, and like that's the sneaking suspicion thing, is if you're like, oh, but they don't even really, whatever.
Even people in the church are having second thoughts on things, and I like that.
Because you shouldn't kill all these people, obviously. Okay, religious people go crazy and they kill everybody.
Walk away and you won't get hurt. You cannot hurt us.
And there's like beepers where they're like, oh, we've gotten the signal. To start doing the killing, and then they get the next signal.
I'm sorry.
Which is like, stop killing and I guess kill yourself instead.
Yeah, like it's happening now.
Like, oh fuck.
It was probably close to midnight or something. Like they were doing it like right.
Turning into a pumpkin. You think?
I think that it's kind of great that they are pagers because like it doesn't to me speak as a weird dated thing. It speaks to me as like, no, that's like a fuddy-duddy old religious kind of thing. Like I feel like religious cults would have beepers like, oh, no, we gotta be blah blah blah. Like it felt normal to me. Like the teenager rebelling, like, no, this is my boyfriend, and like she is not like what she is before this day. Like we're having sex. They told me you would never. It's because she knows she's gonna die that day.
I knew there was just a wildcat inside who's just waiting to come out.
Same reason our weird perverted guy is both extremely religious, an incel who wants to give it up before he leaves this earth, tries to rape multiple people.
Be a good girl. This will cleanse you of your impurity.
Licks spit off his own face. He's a weird fucking guy.
Chris Pratt.
It's a me, a Mario.
That guy.
Chris Pratt.
Here we go!
Yeah.
I think he had I think he had a little bit of Chris Pratt and somebody else. Like one of the like the third guy from 90210, like some other fucking guy where I'm like, okay, there you go.
Ian Ziering.
Probably actually.
Or is it Ion? How does he pronounce his name?
No one's name is Ion.
I think it might be Ion.
You can start by calling me Ian. Or Ian. Ian. It's always been Ian.
It's amazing to have Ian aboard.
Well, then he's an asshole, and I'm gonna say his name wrong to punish him.
You did call him a rapist 4 seconds ago.
I mean, I called Chris Pratt a rapist. That's not. Listen, a religious crazy person who's doing things. Cut the tape. Cut. He looks kind of like Chris Pratt. He had a Chris Pratt-y vibe to me.
off, Chris Pratt.
Okay.
Go back in the
I'm
day.
okay with that.
Yeah. He was a good character.
Yeah.
He was doing stuff. He was throwing shapes. I liked it.
Either you are going to fuck me willingly, or I am going to hurt you.
You know, his whole thing.
What makes it, like, for me is that, like, for the first time you're watching this, and you can probably say this did happen.
The only
to you or
time
not,
I'm watching this,
is there's an old woman on the train and she pulls out this crazy large cross, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And then when it's a knife, you're like, oh, okay.
What the fuck
And then when
is
that's
that?
the weapon of choice for everybody here, you're like, okay, that's interesting. And they even mention it, like, well, they're biblical. They won't use guns. They use swords and knives and whatever.
Now they won't use guns. Only swords and daggers.
How do you know that?
Blades are symbols of their faith. Guns are impure.
And to me, I like that as a premise because it gives you an opportunity. So, like, our only large man who they conveniently make, give me your shirt so that you can now be in a beater.
You're going to be okay, you hear me?
And, like, you know, be like, I might be the hero here, but he dies, like, very unceremoniously. You have this thought where I could survive this apocalypse because these are not trained killers. They're like accountants.
Yeah.
Like, they're not good at it.
No,
like, you could fight back, and they do fight back for a little while.
It's all very convenient, yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine.
But that's how it would be.
Yes, I understand that. I'm just debating if I should.
Because think about any time, like
litigate
school
other things.
shooters or weird nuts or any of these people, like, they're never like He-Man awesome. They're
No.
chuds of the earth.
Yes.
They're like bottom feeders. Think about like any of your KKK type people, like, well, I'm the greatest of black. They're like people that are just the literal worst of their race.
No, you don't have to sell this to me. I like how they even, I got like a Mormon-y vibe and how they wear like kind of like because like some
Mormon
dudes,
in like Nazi fatigues.
Well, because some dudes are in like work jumpsuits, it seems like, right? Jumpsuit, I guess.
Hey, make it quick, will you? And be careful.
Davis, come in.
But these are similar and they're different, but they're this
Khakis
weird, this weird color like that,
Yeah.
like a burnt sienna or some shit.
Yeah, like
burnt
political
umber.
party meets religion.
Yeah, it has a weird vibe where you might get the vibe that like something's not right with these people, or I should be leery of this. Is this going to be one of those weird things?
Yeah.
And then it is. It starts going off, and they go, "Oh, it's time to kill everyone. Let's go."
This is it. Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes, which is nice.
And most of them are they're very excited about it. And I can understand that because in their eyes, oh, we're saving these people. We're going to make it so they're not going to become demons and die a horrible death. We're doing the Lord's work. So, like, it's assuming that's actually true.
God, it's long. God, it's long.
I thought, because like the lady turns into a demon, so I thought like
After she dies.
I know, but I thought like that's what was because they all killed themselves, so I thought like they were all going to turn into demons now.
I believe there's some
that was the
line,
bop.
and I couldn't tell you where it is in there, where the preacher, maybe it's even the TV thing, it's like all the dead's sin will come out of their bodies in demon, like something like that is expressed.
The dead will rise, possessed by the spawns of the devil. You heard me right, children.
Maybe I'm adding to more things, but it was something that at least made me think something like that. So I think every dead person will turn into one of those demons, and everyone that's alive before the demons come will be dragged to hell.
For all those who remain alive when the trumpets of Gideon are heard will be condemned to eternal damnation.
is at least the vibe. The only thing I thought was unrealistic about this movie was the level of the cultists. Like, it would make sense, like, oh, we're trying to save our town,
like
or
the
this
Punisher,
or that.
like when they turn on the TV and it's like, it's on every channel, like the world's ended. Yeah, that's stupid.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, taking over a news channel, sure, that makes sense. But yeah, they had every channel. They were across the world. They took out the police and the army, seemingly.
Oh, and it's called end of the line. The people are on a train. The whole premise should be you're fighting to get out, and then you're in tunnels and you're doing whatever, right? It's like that should be why it's a problem. One guy gets out and he just goes, "Oh shit, there's no point in getting out. The whole world's fallen to these assholes." And
It's happening! It's happening! Oh, God.
And he dies there or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he was the guy who I was like, he has hope of actually doing. He has an axe. He can actually fight.
Yeah, buff axe guy is what I called this guy. Where they're like, I just go alone. He's like, yeah, you think? Okay, I'll see you later, and like goes off, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Honestly,
yeah.
I do like some of the effect shots in this, like the axe to that, like that guy's temple was pretty good. Cutting off that person's head and not being strong enough to actually decapitate them, I thought was a great effect.
Yeah, agree.
A lot of cool stuff in this. To add to those special effect shots, like the biting of the guy's lip off. The pulling of the fetus out of the pregnant dead woman's body and like laying it on her, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a bit much.
No, these are some of the things that I liked too, where I appreciated them going that extra mile. Because you didn't look up the budget, you said?
No.
Because I was kind of like, oh, that indicates some attention to detail. And then something else would happen, like, oh, that indicates like, if I have.
Or just a person on the set who is talented.
The baby
and has
guy,
a passion.
the fetus guy. It's always good to have a good fetus guy.
There's a moment, and I had to wonder. Post the teenage girl having sex with her boyfriend, she like runs to the bathroom and like just swaddles like soap into her vagina.
Yeah.
And I was like, is she trying to trick the Lord into not knowing what happened?
There were some things like that where I was kind of like, oh, this is like a different movie. This is like not the same. This is like way too like out damn spot. I can't get myself clean, tropey like stuff and everything. And like, I like subtlety and subtle stuff, but I don't like when I'm like, am I supposed to be seeing this? Is this supposed to be a part of the movie I'm watching right now? It seems weird. That's usually my reaction. Yes.
Maybe you should stop talking and start fucking me.
I think there might have been a line where the rapist guy was like, I can smell it on you. And she's like, he can smell it. Quick, put lavender on there.
You've been with him. I can smell it. You broke your vow.
Dove needs to step in and prevent the smelling of a thing.
Admit it, Buffy. Aren't there times when you just feel less than fresh?
The guy gives him the key to like let himself out of the train platform thing, and he like puts it in his breast pocket. And I'm like, that's the literal worst place. But I was a little impressed that he didn't lose it. Like he actually did maintain possession of the key. Like that's like the classic, like, oh, it's not in there. Like you expect that to be coming. So I was a little proud that it wasn't
dangling
there.
from something, and you see like the jing. I hate that, quite frankly. Just as long as we're talking about things that we feel ways about.
Okay.
Because it's burdened me to have to like think about that key when the key is meaningless.
Yeah.
And there's not even a moment where you're like, he doesn't like crawl out of the water and go like, oh man. And then you're like, oh God, did he try the key come out of the, like you don't even get to do that.
I
right?
think those are like, sometimes it's good to, because like that makes me think and it gets my mind over here and I might miss another problem that might be coming.
Okay.
Like something I thought, and I'm not sure if it was an error, or if it was her dog, like what it was, but like she's in the shower and something runs past. and it looks like it's tall, unless like the light is very low, and she gets scared by it. And I'm like, well, that would be fucking terrifying. Because that means something is in your house.
But then she relaxes, like, oh, how silly of me.
Yeah.
But you never see what it was or why it's a thing.
And like in the next shot, you see she has a dog. So I'm like, oh, I guess you're to believe it was the dog. But
listen, this film is too highbrow for us. We don't understand what's.
I don't know.
That's the problem. It doesn't understand what it's doing. Yes, exactly.
But that I'm like, oh man, you can write a whole movie about just like, I just saw a flash. And now I don't see anything in my house. I see no evidence that anything got in my house. What the fuck was that? Like, that could play your whole fucking brain. Like, that could be a short.
Yeah, it's an episode of The Twilight Zone or something.
Yeah.
Or Outer Limits or
something.
So we talked a little bit about there's this main woman here, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think she holds a candle to the woman from The Mist, but I do think it's a similar character, and I dig that sort of, like, whenever anyone starts to say the demons will decide, like, my brain just like shuts off.
Okay.
I'm not hearing a word. That's why earlier you're like, well, there's a line in there about the sin. Like, I'm like, I have no fucking idea what those people are saying when they go on their crazy rants and all that stuff.
Send her to God's kingdom. Save her soul.
What? Please, Frankie, you have to.
But yes, I liked the interplay and all that. When she has to kill, I guess that's her daughter, or do we?
I don't think they ever say that.
Or it's just
officially.
Like, might as well be your daughter.
Yeah, girl from church.
Yeah, and she seems very upset about that. And then when she's killing herself, when she could be, because she doesn't die from the shit that happens, so so she has to like take the poison herself.
Forgive me, Lord.
And she even says something like, oh, forgive me, I fucked up, I'm sorry, or whatever, right? Which is like, that's your last moments of life clinging to there, and she's still just thinking about this fanatical devotion that she has.
Right? I have to believe they're just ready to do this at any moment, because it doesn't seem like they were prepared, like today is the day. It's just like that they're always ready, maybe, because
that would be terrible.
There's so many of them on the train. Like, I don't see, like, there's not a lot of people on the train that are not in the cult. It just seems like very strange.
Yeah. There's a moment, it's like cutting between, it's like I know this is usually the case, but in this movie I got like a weird vibe. Like, that's the exact same train. We just keep cutting to it as if it's like a different car. But like, for some reason it like leapt out at me, but they keep cutting around, and there's a point where they cut back and there's a bunch of the evil Mormon dudes, and I'm like, oh, that's a whole, because there's already like a crazy family, there's already crazy creeper Pratt guy, Chris Pratt guy,
the old lady, the girlfriend,
and the old lady. So then when they cut again, and there's like, oh, there's like a whole bench seat row full of the guys, like that, to me, that I almost like the movie less now, because I'm like, oh, you're right, they don't just ride the train every fucking night. Like, that's so stupid.
That's my thought, is that they literally must. That this is just a normal day, and it lucked out that way, because, or they are explaining to us that there are so fucking many of them that's like, no, everywhere in the world there's 8 of our guys like ready to go.
Yeah, and somebody, like, there's a line or two that I'm not going to be able to pick out, but there's like some references to how, like, oh yeah, it's the forbidden path or the shining light of the whoever, like they have, the eternal whatever people.
I know a lot of people who are Voice of Hope members. They're good people. Decent.
Like, people just rattle it off as if it's like Mormons or like a thing that you would know or whatever. So I think they mean for us to gather as much. There's like posters somewhere too, I think. We're kind of like, oh, this is like a thing in this world, but I don't know, that could have been a little better shown to me, so I go like, oh.
Yeah, because even the megaist of mega churches that are out in the public operating are not big enough for this to happen. Like, and I know we've said things like, oh, Handmaid's Tale, that's so crazy, and then like shit happens in America where you're like, oh, maybe it's not as crazy as I thought. Like, shit does happen.
Like, it's
January 6th and whatnot. Like, things can happen, but not in that scale. Like, that scale would be so tremendous.
And it's corny, but like sometimes shows will do a thing, like imagine her with her dog or getting ready or doing something, and there's like a news report playing that says like,
largest rally of blah,
like
blah, blah.
Half of Congress are all devoted members of the eternal spotless path or whatever. And you go like, this is concerning, but the opponents are saying, what about freedom? And they're arguing. Look at them argue. And you're just like, whatever. Right? You already had a dude on TV just being like, save your soul, repent.
Save their souls, children, save their souls. I beg you, lead me.
So you might as well just give me, and like do it so early that I've forgotten about it now and I don't care by the time I get to the real part of the movie. But a lot of movies, I miss that now that I don't have it.
I agree.
When I have it, I say, screw you, I didn't need that. But when I don't get it, I'm like, who are these people? What's happening? Why are you on the
I
train?
think this whole thing would have serviced better. Like I understand, like end of the line, it's a fun thing to have the train, this and that. You're like, oh, from watching the trailer, what might this be?
Yeah.
But I think it would be better served in a Midwest, like bumpkin, middle of nowhere. Oh, we're traveling through. Oh, this is happening, and it's just like, no, that makes sense. Everyone in this town goes to that church. There's only like 12 people that don't, or something. Like
or like everyone's going back to this for the whatever festival, or just don't make it on a train. It doesn't need to be on a train at all. That's not even. There's like a few things where they're like, oh, let me go to the next car, but that's like there's no whatever.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinion